Right, hello. So I've had two different friends ask me about general kind of investing and financial advice kind of leading up into the new year. So I figured it was easiest to put the two people's comments and general questions kind of into one video here and compile that in sort of a off-the-cuff rambling and give you guys kind of my unedited thoughts in kind of one setting here. So to give you a little information about myself, so my name is David Dewberry. I'm a general dentist in Nashville, Tennessee. I practiced for 2 years in California prior to moving out here, so I have a bit of experience with that. And so my two friends are roughly my age, mid to late 20s, when most people are generally looking to start getting more serious about finances and investing in general. So first piece of advice, or first kind of step in my sort of general plan or recommendations as far as personal finance goes, is get some kind of emergency fund together. A good rule of thumb is $1,000 in cash at home for inconveniences. This is things like a flat tire or something on your car that needs to get repaired, or something personally like a broken cell phone that you would otherwise put on a credit card that has a 26% interest rate that you would pay off over several years. By reducing the amount of expenses and inconveniences you have on credit, on things that you have to pay additional costs later in the form of interest on, by reducing that, you keep more money in your own pocket, and that's the first thing you need in order to be able to invest in your future further on down the road. Second step is to get out of debt, and that would be by paying off your credit cards, any other outstanding balances that you might have, with the exceptions of any kind of rent or house payments like a mortgage. The next step after that is paying or saving 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. This would be things like food, rent, health insurance, typical reoccurring monthly expenses. This is meant to sort of increase that layer of protection from inconveniences and emergencies coming up that your initial $1,000 emergency or inconvenience fund, whatever you want to call it, provided you. So as a dentist, some months are really good for dentistry, some are really bad for dentistry, and with sort of infrequency in the pay structure for that, in the income structure for that, having some money set aside in a separate bank account or a money mutual account, whatever it is, that covers 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, allows you personally to stabilize those fluctuations in income or any layoffs or job loss that may happen, because that does come up for people. The next step after that, or the next kind of guideline, and this was something that both of them actually asked about, was purchasing things like gold, silver, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, those kinds of things. I personally view those things not as true investments, but those are more or less protection for the work that you have done. So, work in the United States is measured in dollars, and the dollar, as we just went through, is getting deflated, and we're seeing inflation in the country currently, and I'm not going to get into the politics of all of that, but gold, silver, Bitcoin, those types of asset classes are going to insulate your money from emergencies. So we're doing basically the same thing, protecting yourself from inconveniences, getting your debt paid off so you're not paying extra to someone else that you shouldn't realistically have to, paying for extra for things that you've already gotten or already used. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, those kinds of things are going to protect your money from those same kinds of inconveniences. It's going to protect you from economic downturns. It's going to protect you from inflation in the long run. So those aren't something that you need to have a large percentage of your total personal wealth in, but it's something you should have some of it, in my opinion. The next layer after that is where you get into sort of true investing, if you want to call it that. That's where you're going to look at your 401k, your Roth IRA, your money market accounts with things like Robinhood or Webull, M1 Finance, whatever it is. I wouldn't look into those kinds of investments, your 401k or anything like that, until your debt is paid off and your 3 months worth of living expenses has been saved up. And the reason for that is when your money goes into those accounts, it goes in either pre-tax or it goes in post-tax if it's like on Robinhood. The problem with all of those things is if you come into an emergency, let's say you get laid off for 3 months, you're not working, like some people had happen at the beginning of the pandemic. If you take money out of your 401k, you're going to get a penalty for it. So you're paying more for that than you would be if you had just set that money aside for a month or two. Same thing with any money that you have on, let's say, Robinhood, for example. If you bought Tesla and it went up 10% and you took that money out, you have to pay taxes on the amount that it went up by. So these are all things to consider prior to investing. If you guys have any questions about this, you found this video useful or helpful at all, or even if you didn't, let me know. If there's something that you would like to hear me ramble on about, I'm more than happy to. Just let me know.